blues is, I think, kind of in the DNA of all popular American music. I mean, that sort of the elemental sort of beat, the phrasings and rhythm of the blues. And really anything that is jazz, rock and roll, popular American music today. The purpose of this is to bring a bit of Clarksdale to Southwest Florida and have the FUCU community benefit from that cultural exchange. To date, we've done 3 of these concerts, and the largest was what we did in spring 2019. And one of the biggest differences was we brought in Adam Gosseau, who is a blues scholar from the University of Mississippi.
An ideology is simply an idea set, an intellectual orientation that governs the way one sees the world and thinks through the problems it represents, or problems it presents. One way of ideologizing the blues is to say the blues are black music, and I want that emphasis on black, and you can capitalize it or not.
Adam is probably the most respected blues scholar right now that analyzes and interprets the music. So having him here on campus, not only talking about his research, he publishes numerous books on the blues, but then he's a musician himself. And so to have him, and he plays with Shine Turner, who is Ike Turner's cousin. Him not only do his scholarship, but also then participate later in the concert and then in the symposium was something I thought added, a particularly interesting kind of wrinkle to the whole event.
Best day of my life, worst day of my life. How can both those things be true? And that, of course, is a fundamental element of the blues, which is sometimes two things from the opposite direction are going on at the same time.
Roger Stoley is the owner of Cathead Delta Blues and Folk Art in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
And it suddenly occurs to me, well, I should just go see where it came from. So I did what I thought was the Dead Man Blues Tour. In other words, I thought it wasn't a living culture. I thought these folks would be gone. But I'd go see where Muddy Waters and people like that came from. And what I found out was that there were still guys like, at that time, Little A, now he's Big A.
Gotta say it one more time, 'cause if you don't need me, leave me alone.
So Anthony Big A Sherrard, he is really one of the most successful musicians that's based in Clarksdale today.
My father had a gospel group, and they always rehearsed on Tuesday and Thursday nights in our living room. And out of 7 kids, I was the only child that didn't go to sleep, get ready for school the next morning. So, so they had all the equipment hooked up and stuff and like that. And so I go to each one of the instruments, started messing with them and stuff. So finally they took a break and they were like, everybody just stop, everybody be quiet, everybody be quiet. he found our key that we singing in. One day he gonna be something. So I ain't paying no attention. So I went in the refrigerator and got me one of them Bush beers. So
Is this a two?
it's 2 years old, yes sir.
You know, if you look at the history of Clarksdale's music, that includes, you know, Muddy Waters and Ike Turner and John Lee Hooker, Big Jack Johnson, Son House. You know, Anthony Sherrard is one of the most successful blues musicians, you know, from that same area.
By that time now, I done got a little buzz now. I got a little high. So I go to the kitchen, you know, grab the broom, walking through the house like I'm playing the guitar or something, you know. So Daddy got tired of that. He went and got me a real electric guitar.
Well, until I get that look at her, all I can do is hope and pray. Come on, play me some saxophone.
One of the people who came was Lucius Spiller.
I learned my first licks probably when I was about 5 years old.
One thing you can't deny. You know my love will follow you as the years go passing by. Yeah.
I started out at an early age. We always had music around our household, but I have a few relatives kind of like, I guess, sort of pioneers of the electric Chicago blues. My family is out of Macon, Mississippi. It's in Knoxville County, which we have a blues trail market. It's called the Black Prairie Blues. And like in the early 1900s, my grandfather and his brother and his nephew, they were musicians and they had a band. They were biracial. They had a band called the Salt and Pepper Shakers. So those kind of like, for the early 1900s, they would go around to different plantations and farms and play different functions. I guess it's in my blood from way back then.
He has a great voice. He is just really unique with his sound, not just strictly traditionally blues, but also does a lot of, he does Johnny Cash covers, he does Prince covers. He works a little bit of everything into his, kind of wildly entertaining show.
Come here, I ain't gonna bite you. All right. He might now. How's you looking? All right, pat your foot, pat your foot, 1, 2. Pat your foot, 1, 2.
So, he would be, a good representative of, really what's going on today in Clarksdale. I mean, really, if you were to go to a show up in Clarksdale, for any stretch of time, you're going to have a chance to see Lucius Spiller. So it was important for him to be here. Stan Street, he plays drums, he plays harmonica, he can do other kinds of horns.
My dad and my uncle were both drummers for Rochester Philharmonic in Rochester, New York, so I grew up around percussion and orchestra, classical music. It was exciting seeing my dad and my uncle perform, but when I heard blues music, it just gave me chills. I mean, I would just get this feeling.
So he wound up settling in Clarksdale, Mississippi. He owns Hambone Art Gallery, where the majority of the art he makes is kind of blues influenced, or at least kind of Delta oriented.
I ain't got no balance. Check, 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 check. Yeah, 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 yeah. You got that mojo working.